Welcome everybody to another edition of WWE 2013 here in TEW 2020 as we're heading towards Money in the Bank as we have Raw here live from North Shore Arsenal Coliseum in front of 10,000 people. And we start out, of course, with our Raw opening, I don't even know, whatever the 2013 Raw theme was, which I'm blanking on. But anyway, does it get to 68? As it got John Cena, star quality off screen, all that good stuff. And then go to the opening show, which is first. Dun, 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 dun. John Cena comes out, he says, he's ready for a fight, Money in the Bank. He's all the respect in the world for Dolph Ziggler. Taking that opportunity to become World Heavyweight Champion. But at the end of Money in the Bank, it's going to be his arm raise as he's still going to be the WWE Champion. And, unfortunately for Ziggler, it's, his time is now. It's also, I'm happy about that. That's unfortunate, but he's the guy for a reason. Q's Dolph Ziggler coming out and says, John, yeah, I took an opportunity to get this title. I wasn't given opportunity after opportunity like you were. I had to scratch and claw my way to this World Heavyweight Championship. But that's fine. You don't have to, you have to still, you can still believe the false myth that your hustle and respect will keep you at the top. Well, I'm the show off. And after Money in the Bank, it'll be my arm being raised. And voices in your head, they checked in, blah, blah, blah. I'll confront the Orton, sort of laughs up the fact that, these two men are fighting each other, and, they're going to be, one of you is going to be easy pickings for me no matter what, because I'm the ultimate athlete here in the WWE, and I'm the Viper, and I'm going to strike at Money in the Bank. You just don't know who it's going to be against yet. I don't even know. Cena fights back, well, why don't you have a little preview tonight? And Aaron says, what? Face me in the I already faced you, John. Plus, I gotta get ready for Money in the Bank. So if you think I'm going to risk a chance for one title when I've got a chance at 2 times at Money in the Bank, you've got another thing coming. Cue Alberto Del Rio, coming out, and Dory comes up and says, "No, I've got an idea, Orton. You and me, let's team up tonight." And he's like, "Why should I do that?" Because it's a way to soften up, and more importantly, it's a way for Cena and Ziggler up there to be shown that they both want to be the top dog, but only one can be the top dog. And it's my destiny to be champion once again, somehow, some way. There's some more back and forth, but in the end, they do agree. Main event tonight is Cena and Ziggler versus Orton and Rio, as this gets an 89, as, everybody's pretty good on the mic here, as we then go backstage, where Vicky seems nonplussed about this main event, but, she's happy that it's, some great competitors, and then Ryback comes in the ring, and she says, excuse me, why are you in here? And Ryback's like, I want, he wants another shot at Kofi. He thinks, he won by countout, so he should get another title shot. And, he's the monster. He's the new monster here in the WWE. He's, the man, the myth, the machine. But for some reason, Kofi's getting a chance at getting Money in the Bank, and he's not. And Vicky says, well, we already made the matches by time. The matches for the Money in the Bank qualifiers were made when you were getting your world title shot, so there's no chance to put you in there. But I have a deal for you. We can make the Cesaro and Kofi match later tonight a triple threat match. But if you beat Kofi, you don't get Money in the Bank shot chance. You get his U.S. title. Ryback agrees, and Vicky thinks she's done well. As this gets to 66, and this continues the Kofi feud that we've been building up the past couple weeks. Then we have a quick little recap of the little Henry 3MB feud we've been doing the past month or so, where Henry's been trying to push Jinder to his side, pointing out that Slater and McIntyre are a couple of jokes. And then it's time for the actual match. This gets a 23 because it's a quick 1 minute recap, and it's Mark Henry versus Drew McIntyre. And in the actual match, and you both had good heat and decent wrestling. Mark Henry defeats Drew McIntyre in 7:16 by pinfall with World's Strongest Slam. So here's the thing. Drew is good. And Henry has to fight a little to get him. But at the end of the day, Mark Henry is the world's strongest man. He's a former World Heavyweight Champion. He's, the creator of the Hall of Pain. And Drew, at this point, is still the guy in the 3MB. And, McIntyre fights, he brawls, but Henry's just a little bit stronger and a little bit tougher. And in the end, he's able to drill Drew with the World's Strongest Slam. 1, 2, 3, right in the middle of the ring. Nothing else happens. No shenanigans, just Henry being bigger, stronger, and beating Drew. This gets a 58, as Henry gets a 74, and Drew McIntyre gets a 48. And then it's time for the post-match. As what happens is, 3MB get in the ring, help their brethren up, and then Henry just points at Jinder and, shrugs as if to say, look, those are your partners. And it looks like Jinder's finally gotten the message as Jinder wallops Slater with a lariat, picks up Drew McIntyre, hits him with like his modified spine buster, and then walks away with Mark Henry. So we'll turn Drew and we'll turn Slater. And yeah, so now 3MB are babyfaces, they've been basically babyfaces for the past few weeks, and now Mahal is with Henry, specifically. And this gets at 51. So there you go. Good stuff. As we and now we have the next segment of the feud where Mahal is teaming with Henry against McIntyre and Slater. How long that segment lasts, you'll just have to watch and find out. Then we go backstage where JeriShow are together and they're confronted by the Shield this time around. As the Shield points out, we faced, every single week it seems, WWE is putting new super team after new super team against us, and every single one of them falls. Look at Team All No, they don't even exist. New Age Outlaws, what happened to them? The reality is, we're the best in the world for a reason. We have these tag team belts for a reason. If not for our little luck, we'd have the US title too. Because we're about injustice, and the injustice of super teams like you trying to step to us and failing. And, Seth adds in, but you want to come after us? Fine. We'll set you up. And Roman steps and says, then you'll fall. Jericho says back, look, I beat The Rock and Stone Cold in one night. I've been, insert number of time, Intercontinental Champion, World Champion. If you think I'm going to be scared of 3 punks when I've got the largest athlete in the world by my side, you've got another thing coming. And Dean Simpson says, well, how about I'll take you out, you giant, right now, tonight. And Big Show just, puts his fist up, and it seems like we've got a match set up for later tonight of Big Show versus Dean Ambrose. As this gets to 75 and puts forward the little new Shield versus JeriShow feud. Then we have a fun little match. As an extremely short match, Kaitlyn defeats Aksana in 421 by pinfall with a spear. This gets a 35, because, well, it's Kaitlyn and Aksana. Kaitlyn gets a 60, Aksana gets a 39. Nobody's quite over enough to actually, do anything here, but, it's an eye candy match. What can you do? And yeah, just, nothing fancy here, just straightforward win for Kaitlyn. And then afterwards, Kaitlyn, has Ryan Lee beside her, and she calls out AJ Lee saying, you've been trying to poison your brother's mind for so long, but, he's with me now. And we're trying to make this work, even though our initial relationship was built on a pack of lies. But what's also built on a pack of lies, AJ, is our friendship. You were conniving and trying to screw me over from the beginning. So AJ, I want you in this ring to show to you that not only are you a fraud out of the ring and a false friend, that I'm the Divas Champion for a reason. Then she walks away, 46. Decent promo concerning it's Kaitlyn, but what can you do? Then we go backstage, where Cena and Dolph are backstage, and, Dolph's like, look, we're going to work together, but at Money in the Bank, it's every man for himself. I'm fighting to defend my title, not keep your belt around your waist. Cena says, don't worry about that. I know I'm always on my own in that ring, even in a tag team match. So just hold up your end, and I'll hold up mine, no problem. Dolph's like, we'll see about that. So 81, as, putting over the fact, they're teaming together later tonight. And then Fandango comes out dancing and, calls out, I'm ready for anybody. Vicky's a shaded opponent for me, so bring them out. Lights go dark. Kane's music hits. Crowd pops. Fandango is now very, very, very scared. 68 as 68 is Kane is back after a couple weeks. And in a completely squash match, in an extremely short match, Kane defeated Fandango in 5:15 by pinfall with the chokeslam from hell. This gets a 45. So, Fandango basically runs away for a couple minutes and it just gets thrown around. Like, he gets a little bit of offense in, probably just like some random flying, like leg lariat, and gets some, like, a little bit of offense. But at the end, it's Kane versus Fandango. How do you think this is going to end? As Kane hits him with a chokeslam from hell and is now in Money in the Bank. As this gets a 61 and Fandango gets a 42. And overall, the match itself gets a 45. And then Kane, makes the turnbuckles go boom to a pop, 68. And it looks like Kane, after a couple of week absence, is back and is ready to cause chaos and destruction once more. Then after the commercial, CM Punk's music hits, and he gets a mixed pop because he's still CM Punk, so he was still a heel the last time people saw him. But he's still CM Punk, so there's always going to be a measure of the crowd that likes him, and and so Punk makes everybody now knows I'm in the Money in the Bank match, but that's what I'm talking about because that can be talked about at a later point. What I want to talk about right now is the past couple months because I've been gone since WrestleMania, and there are various reasons for that I don't want to get into because frankly, you people don't deserve to know about my personal life. Mixed pop, and the reality is, it doesn't matter why I was gone because look, I came back and now right away I'm in the Money in the Bank because I'm the best in the world. I'm the best damn wrestler in this business, and what that means is that the people who support me should actually support me. Again, mixed pop. I know, I'm talking about the people out there in the audience because this isn't about you. This is about one man. This is about you, Paul. Because, look, where did you go? I see you with Brock. I see you hanging around Brock. You're happy to have him around, but you're sure as hell not with me anymore. I haven't gotten a call from you, a text, an email, anything. So, Paul, next week, get your ass here and explain to me what the hell is going on and where you've been. And then Punk walks away, and there you go. 76, good promo, setting up a confrontation next week between CM Punk and Paul Heyman, as this gets a 76. Then we have a Del Rio and Orton backstage promo, where, Del Rio's like, it's my destiny to become world champion, and, I'm glad to help you tonight, Orton, but, once that belt is off Ziggler, I'm going to be chasing after it, whether it be around your waist or around somebody else's waist, and Orton's like, you can cry me, but you'll cry like everybody else, Del Rio, whether that'll be your destiny. And Del Rio fires back, well, no, my destiny is to be champion, and maybe I'll go after you, or maybe Cena might be still champion, and I'll end his myth, but I am Alberto Del Rio, and I will be champion, once again, one way or another. So, both teams not that happy with each other, as this gets a 72, and we move forward. And in a bout that had fantastic heat and good wrestling, Dean Ambrose defeats Big Show in 9:30 by pinfall with a Death Ride double arm DT following interference from Roman Reigns. So, this match goes about how you'd expect. Lots of brawling, lots of Big Show throwing around Dean brawling, getting involved some plunder. But in the end, ref distracted, Roman comes in, spear on Big Show. Spear on Big Show, and that knocks him down for just long enough for Ambrose to come in, hit the double arm DDT, and get the big pinfall victory over the Big Show, as this gets a 65. As the announcers put over that the match has been signed, it will be the Shield defending their tag titles against JeriShow, based on JeriShow's past run as champion. So it's Roman and Seth. Where is that? There we go. Oops. Oh. It's Rowan Dean. Yeah. This gets to 65, and then it's time for another 3-round 1 beatdown, but this time Jericho and Bryan make the save just like they did on SmackDown, as the crowd pops and chases the Shield away as they, go through the crowd, at least for the moment, as this gets a 71. So again, continuing that little feud and keeping Bryan around because, of course, he still dislikes the Shield, even though he's heading towards Money in the Bank at the moment. Then, in about that good heat and decent wrestling, we come back commercial with Wade Barrett destroying Zack Ryder in 17 by stoppage. So again, what happens here is Ryder gets a little bit of offense, at least to begin with. He gets to be a little bit impressive. But in the end, Wade Barrett is the Intercontinental Champion for a reason, and he just beats down Ryder, and eventually he knocks Ryder the F out once again with Bullhammer. Ref stops the match, and Barrett is just, is cocky as he gets announced as the winner, as Ryder is KO'd on the mat. So this gets a 67. Barrett gets a 68. Zack Ryder gets a 45. And fairly straightforward win for Barrett. But out comes, Barrett, goes, pushes the ref away and goes to continue the beatdown when Sheamus comes out and they start to brawl as, just put over that it's also been, after the brawl, and announced that, that that Vicky Guerrero has Dean, that at Money in the Bank, it'll be Wade Barrett versus Sheamus for the Intercontinental Championship. And the post feud gets a 68. Then we have and this match was really good. Like this was shockingly good. Okay, interesting. So about that good heat and decent wrestling, Antonio Cesaro defeats Ryback and Kofi Kingston in 9:17 when Cesaro pins Kofi Kingston with the neutralizer. So basically, this is 2-on-1. Basically, as Kofi has to use all his wily tricks, high flying offense, and basically keeping both men focused on each other. So as Kofi is getting beat down by Ryback, he points out to Cesaro that if Ryback gets me, then no winning the bank for you. Cesaro goes after Ryback, and eventually Cesaro goes after Kofi, and Kofi gets a little bit of offense in, that goes over Ryback and says, if you don't beat him up, his title's still mine. So eventually, it's back and forth, but Kofi does eventually hit his what is it called? His finisher, the big See, this one terrible. I'm terrible at remembering finishing names. Whatever. One his finishers. The quick kick thing on Ryback, but it gets a 2 count. It looks like Ryback is going to get the win with Shell Shock when Cesaro knocks Ryback down from behind, tosses Ryback to the outside of the ring, drops Kofi with the neutralizer, hits 1, 2, 3, and now Cesaro is into Money in the Bank. So really good match considering the competitors. As Cesaro gets a 59, Ryback gets a 72, and Kofi Kingston gets a 60. And post-match, Ryback goes after Kingston, but he's just wary enough to roll the ring and head to the back as basically Ryback chases after him. As this gets a 66, as the crowd puts over, as announcers put over, Ryback had another shot at the U.S. title here, but failed to get it. And then we have the SmackDown Hotel, SmackDown recap featuring, Alberto Del Rio versus The Big Show, main event from the last SmackDown, as that gets a 73. Then we go backstage where Bryan tries to talk to Kane, but basically gets the cold shoulder from him, as Kane says, we were a team, but Money in the Bank, I'm about becoming holding the Money in the Bank, not helping you win it. And then he walks away. So that's 72, as Bryan, seems like Team Hell No is officially broken up, at least for the moment. Then it's time for our main event. Oof. Which gets a little ding because Del Rio and Orton have no chemistry as partners, which is interesting to know from the future. So, back and forth, typical, WWE Raw style main event from this series. Cena gets his moves in, Del Rio gets his big kicks in, Orton tries to hit the RKO multiple times, but gets pushed off, even hits the RKO on Cena, but Ziggler actually makes a save. Ziggler hits the zigzag on Del Rio, but Orton goes after him, and eventually everything breaks down, and what happens is Cena actually, hits Ziggler, with the one of his big shoulder blocks. Orton tosses him to the outside. Ziggler gets up, walks right into an RKO. 1, 2, 3. Orton Del Rio get the big win over Ziggler, as they get the win. Like I said, about having tag team great wrestling. Overall gets an 82. Ziggler gets an 81. Cena gets an 84. Orton gets a 65. Del Rio gets a 60, mainly because they didn't have any chemistry. And as the show ends with basically, Orton holds his hands up in victory, making the title belt motions, as Cena and Ziggler basically stare each other down, as the announcers put over the fact that if that happens one way or the other at Money in the Bank, Randy Orton will be a champion. We don't know what champion it will be. And overall, this gets an 83, so a really solid show. Actually, building things up, and we're getting things going here. But yeah, let's just see if there's any interesting email. It'll be time for SmackDown. Decides to load for a while. Okay, so let's see here. Any it's Jinder Mahal, Punk. What do you think? Santino Morella's back. Card fully fit. Okay, yeah. All right, so I'll be back in just a second with SmackDown. Okay, and now it's time for another edition of SmackDown, and I totally forgot to change where we're having it, so this is not where it actually was, but we got 6,000 people here, so that's good. Anyway, we start the show off with this very special highlight reel as Chris Jericho, with Big Show beside him, brings out the Shield, and basically they go over the same stuff they basically went over at Raw, but, Shield put out, they proved how thin how thin the JeriShow's claim of greatness is, but they beat him last night. They outsmarted them, And, Jericho's supposed to be some, between his veteran and make sure the largest wrestler in the world. But at the end of the day, everybody falls to the Shield, every damn buddy. Jericho and Show fight back that, they got lucky, and at Money in the Bank, they're sure hell's not going to be this lucky. And eventually, there's some more arguing, or everybody, fires back. Jericho reminds people, he's a multi-time world champion and intercontinental champion, and JeriShow are one of the most dominant tag teams of all time. Shield says, we beat Hell No, we've beaten everybody in front of us, you're nothing special. And eventually, it comes down to an agreement that our main event on Smack tonight is going to be Chris Jericho versus Seth Rollins. Overall, this gets a 75, decent little opening as we, set things up for the rest of the show. Then we had come back commercial for our opening tag match. The other 3 tag teams are in the ring when the Great Khali music hits, and then he comes out with Santino Marella. Marella is back from injury, and he's teaming up with Great Khali for this next tag match, as that little quick segment gets a 58. And we go to the actual match, which is a 51 involving these fun, totally over teams. And he's about that decent from the crowd with subpar wrestling. The primetime players defeat Primo and Ekpogo, Teddy DiBiase Jr. and Yoshitatsu, and the Great Khali and Santino Marella in 9:46 when Darren Young pins Yoshitatsu with a gut check. So like I said, this gets a 51. Tice O'Neil gets a 47. Darren Young gets a 50. Primo gets a 43. Ekpogo gets a 41. Yoshitatsu gets a 35. Teddy DiBiase Jr. gets a 42. Marella gets a 48. The Great Khali gets a 37. Fun little just 4-way match to put the primetime players over and, give these guys some in-ring time. But at the end of the day, Young has Tatsu in the ring, hits his finisher, gets a pinfall victory before anybody else gets involved. I'm sure there's some fun with Marilla bringing out his Cobra, but eventually, he gets tossed to the outside. Khali goes out, to help him up, and they're too late to help stop the primetime players from winning. And, big one, decent sized win. And then post-match, of course, primetime players celebrate to a 55 as they continue their push. Then we go backstage where Booker T is in his office, and he announced that there's going to be a tag team match tonight for the Money in the Bank slots, and it's going to be the Rhodes Scholars taking on the team of The Miz and Evan Bourne. Of course, not just for the fact that this was supposed to be Kofi Kingston, but Kofi Kingston lost his chance on Raw, so The Miz will now be Evan Bourne's tag partner as it gets a little 61, setting up the tag match later. Then we go backstage where Dolph Ziggler is backstage, and he says, a lot of people have been asking him, how do you think there's any shot you can walk out of Money in the Bank with the World Heavyweight Championship? Because John Cena will be trying to be state champion, and Randy Orton just has to hit one evil with the RKO, and and obviously I'm supposedly a better target than Dolph Ziggler, than John Cena. But remember something, John Cena, he has a mouth on. I'm the new kid in town. I'm the show off. I'm the man who took the chance the night after WrestleMania to become World Heavyweight Champion, and I've kept this title. I've ripped and clawed my way up to the top, and you think I'm going to let one RKO stop take this title off of me? We've got everything coming. And for Orton, you think it's going to be easier to come after me than Cena? Well, he can best try. But after Money in the Bank, I'll still be the World Heavyweight Champion, no matter who likes it or not. So then that promo, putting that over as Ziggler gets a 74-inch promo. As we move forward to our next match, which is an extremely short match, Brie Bella makes her return to the ring, defeating Natalya Neidhart in 4:53 by pinfall the Facebuster. This gets a 55, Natalya gets a 55, Brie Bella gets a 67, and I still forgot to turn her face because I'm really not smart. But yeah, Brie Bella gets the win, totally clean, and post-match Brie Bella celebrates, which gets a 63. So fun times. A decent little match, just bring Brie Bella back in the ring and give her the win. Nothing special there. Then we have a backstage segment where, of course, Sheamus and Wade are brawling again. The announcer's joke, it's like they've been brawling ever since the end of Raw. As the announcers put over, it's these 2 tough men will be battling for the Intercontinental Championship before they finally get broken apart. Still going after each other. Still trying to go after each other as WWE officials get between them. But this gets 72 and furthers their feud. And then we have our actual tag match, as in a decent match, the Rhodes Scholars of Cody Rhodes and Damian Sandow defeat The Miz and Evan Bourne in 9:53 when Cody Rhodes pins Evan Bourne with the Crossroads, gets 64 overall, which is actually better than I thought it would be. So, back and forth, decent match. Evan Bourne gets his high flying spots in. Miz does decent, but eventually, Cody Rhodes has Evan Bourne, and with nowhere to go, Cody hits Evan with Crossroads, and right in the middle of the ring, 1, 2, 3, clean victory for Cody. Sando gets a 38, Cody gets a 53, Evan Bourne gets a 59, and The Miz gets a 65. But a big win for Rhodes Scholars as they go into Money in the Bank. But wait, Booker T comes on and says, no. I said the match was for Money in the Bank slots, but I didn't say the tag match was for both of those slots. You see, Cody, you're in. Evan, unfortunately, you're out. But right now, we're going to have another match for the other slot, and it's going to be the two men who weren't involved in the finish. So, Miz, Sando, it's time for you to fight over that last slot. So let's get to 63. Crowd is shocked as Rose is surprised. And before Rose can do anything, The Miz defeats Damien Sando in 145 by pinfall with a quick roll up. This gets a 56. And basically, Miz, immediately goes for the Skull Crossing finale. Sando tosses him off, but quickly, Miz then sends Sando into the corner, rolls him up 1, 2, 3. Cody doesn't break things up as The Miz gets the win, and he's the other person in Money in the Bank, as it gets a 56, as it's just a quick more of an angle in a match. But a big win for The Miz. And then after that, we've got The Miz celebrates as Sando is unhappy on the outside. I think I'm put over that one half Rhodes Scholars are in Money in the Bank, but Damien Sando is not, as this gets a 57. Then it's time for a Raw Rebound featuring Dolph Ziggler, and of course the big tag match on Raw, as that gets a 72. Then I think it might be main event time. Yeah, it is main event time. So in about that great heat and good wrestling, Chris Jericho defeats Seth Rollins in 13:05 by pinfall the Codebreaker. So this gets a 70. So back and forth match. Big Show is out with Jericho. Rest of the Shield eventually comes out, but Show's able to keep them from getting involved. And then really good match. Seth Rollins is good. Chris Jericho is just a little bit better. He has the veteran skill. He has still the ability, and he's able to just nail Rollins with the Codebreaker. 1, 2, 3. Seth Rollins gets 66. Chris Jericho gets a 71. Overall, the match gets a 70 as Answer's put over. Yes, Jericho got the win over Rollins, but of course, he's not one half the tag champs. And by this time, the Shield does finally get involved and go after Jericho, but Big Show is ready, and this time, JeriShow actually are ready, and they fight off the Shield as Rollins is out on the outside, and Big Show is able to toss Ambrose to the outside. Jericho hits a big, his big running drop kick to the outside, from the corner on to the outside on Reigns, and JeriShow stands tall as the show ends, as the announcers put over, there's some cracks actually beginning to form in the Shield, as JeriShow, one of the greatest tag teams in recent history, have gotten one over the Shield to end SmackDown. As this gets 74 overall, and the show itself gets a 71. So, not our best show ever, but it's SmackDown. What can you do? Let's see if anything interesting pops up in the mail. Survey says probably nothing too much, but we'll see. We'll still double check. As this loads. Doo-ba-doo-ba-doo. Okay, King Buffalo. Okay, interesting. Yeah, nope, nothing that interesting. So yeah, that's let's just check out our storylines real quick. So the new path is at a 51. Secret Admirer is at a 49. Cena Ziggler Orton's at an 81. Sheamus Barrett is at a 69. Kofi Ryback's at a 72. Money in the Bank setup's at a 45. Money in the Bank for SmackDown is set up at a 65. Shield vs. JeriShow is at a 71, and WMD setup is at a 55. So not the hottest stuff, but still decent stuff. And yeah, solid shows. Nothing too over the top, but really good shows. So that's it for now. Again, I've got the Patreon at the link in the description. If you're interested, go ahead and sign up. No pressure at all, to sign up. I'll still be doing these series no matter what. But, there's some bonuses. Either just give me support or get bonuses like daily bases for the series, or inserting a character of your own, of your own description into the series, or just, random backstage stuff I've written up, or even the ability, to phone polls and stuff, and other fun stuff like that. But, that's it for now. So if you enjoyed this, go ahead and give it a like. Comment below what you're enjoying and not enjoying. And of course, subscribe to the channel for lots of TEW 2020 content, including this series, my MLW 2006 series, now heading towards the first big show in Univision. My WCW 1994 series, which is now exiting Slamboree, with Rick Rude as Unified Champion, and a disappointing Bret Hart Ric Flair match. Damn You chemistry, and our long-running WCW 2004 series, now heading towards Slamboree, which is up next, including the main event of Booker T versus Jeff Hardy for the WCW Championship. But that's for now, so talk to you later, and adios. Have a good one.